Welcome to the Experts in Sport podcast, brought to you by the School of Sport, Exercise and Health Sciences at Loughborough University.
Hi, and welcome to a special series celebrating women's sport. From the roaring success of the Lionesses at the Euros to the upcoming Rugby World Cup and an exciting calendar of events across the globe, 2025 is shaping up to a landmark year for women in sport. At the heart of this momentum is Loughborough University. Building on our world-leading reputation in sport, the Women in Sport Research and Innovation Hub brings together experts from across the university, Loughborough Sport and a global network of partners. Together, we're working to create lasting change across the women's sport landscape, from grassroots and recreational level sport through to elite performance and international competition. Before we kick off today's podcast, we want to extend our huge thank you to Vitality, the Institute of Advanced Studies and Spirit of 2012 for their generous support of the Women in Sport Hub and this incredible summer of women's sport. For today's podcast, we'll be joined by two experts working in the field of breast health and breast measurement, and we'll be discussing the design and impact of sport-specific apparel for women.
So my name is Samantha Rowland and I'm a lecturer at Loughborough University in exercise physiology and nutrition. And I'm delighted to introduce this next podcast. And I'm really excited today to introduce our guests. We have Professor Deirdre McGee from the University of Wollongong with expertise in breast health, in sport, injury prevention and sports bra education. As Director of Breast Research Australia, McGee has led pioneering work on breast health and specifically breast pain, breast support and bra-related chafing in women's sport, and breast injuries, looking at the impacts on breasts and protective equipment in women's contact sports, including rugby. Her studies show that breast pain is experienced by a high percentage of female athletes and breast support is insufficient, with a large proportion wearing sports bras that are ill-fitted and provide insufficient breast support. Female athletes are experiencing impacts to their breasts that result in breast pain, bruising and swelling, with a prevalence as high as 40% in women's rugby, yet 90% of breast injuries are not reported. She has developed sports medicine guidelines on sports bra design and bra fit to maximise performance and assessment and treatment of breast injuries. She has also created freely accessible educational resources for female athletes on breast health and breast injuries, including a sports bra app to help females choose supportive, correctly fitted and comfortable sports bras. Her work directly informs how kit can be designed and promoted to maximise athletic performance, reduce injury and promote participation in sport during puberty and beyond. We're also joined today by Dr. Rebecca Grant, based at the Loughborough University, who has expertise in biometrology, sports apparel design and breast measurement development. Dr. Grant leads research at the intersection of biometrology, human factors and female anthropometry, with a focus on improving the design and fit of sports apparel. Her recent work at the Sports Technology Institute includes developing dynamic measurement techniques to better understand breast motion and discomfort during exercise. This research aims to make sports bra fittings more accurate and less daunting, especially for girls entering sport for the first time, an essential step in supporting retention during puberty. So welcome to you both and thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. And with that, we'll get straight into some questions. So Deirdre, I'll start with asking you one first. What do you see are the health implications of poorly designed sportswear for women?
Well, one side of it is that it actually is a deterrent for women participating in sport or continuing in sport. So particularly adolescent females with large breasts or women with larger breasts or women returning to sport postpartum, having breast pain from excessive breast movement or having the embarrassment of their breasts moving excessively is a deterrent for women to participate in sport. And then at more an elite level or more women, once women who are participating, we find that insufficient breast support from a poorly fitted or designed bra actually is more a performance effect rather than a health effect. That a bra that they need to adjust so it's not fitting correctly so it moves on their body when they move their body in their sport, or from insufficient breast support causing breast pain or causing chafing of their skin because the bra's rubbing up and down on their trunk, that it actually, or affecting their posture. So if the breasts aren't lifted, the upper body posture tends to be more curved and that changes the position of the shoulder. So particularly if you're doing an above head activity and your shoulder's forward, that's putting you at risk of overuse injuries to your shoulder. And then if your posture is more like this, it affects the muscle strength around the muscles of your shoulder and upper torso. So it's really, once you are participating, it's a performance effect that we're looking at, and the health effect is really that it's a barrier to women participating in sport.
Brilliant, and thank you for that, Deirdre. So I guess, Rebecca, following on from that, how is your research influencing the design of kit and apparel with those kind of performance implications in mind?
Cheers, Sam. It's an interesting question. I think there are lots of different layers to it, right? So I think we at Loughborough really focused on improving the measurement first, not necessarily the design of kit and apparel specifically. There are obviously lots of different sports bras on the market, and I think that reflects the wide variety of people that are obviously in the global population as well. And I think that's the beauty of what we're trying to do and trying to understand. If we can better understand how the breast moves, and understand how people move as well, and if there are other things, like Deirdre sort of said, with posture or things like that that might impact how the breast is moving, can we start to unpick and unravel some of those connections so that we can actually then translate that into recommendations for design, for example, or that could be recommendations for physio as well. So people move differently as well. So when you add that, and then you add the different life courses that women go through, breast physiology change, I think it shows us therefore that the thing that we're trying to understand is really, really complex. And then if you try and translate that into design of a bra, that doesn't equal a one size or a one bra style fits all circumstance. There are obviously lots of different types out there, different styles. People talk about sports bras in terms of impact level as well, which can be quite difficult to decipher. So for us, it's really about trying to just understand what's going on when the breast tissue moves, and how can we see that at a higher resolution so that we can maybe see between different breasts, different women, how they're moving differently, and maybe support needs to be different or appear in different areas in order to help that woman engage in sport a little bit more and pick the right product for her.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Becky. And I guess what you're kind of saying there is that it's really clear that every woman responds differently, all breasts respond differently. And so we need to look at lots of different women to understand this better. So why has this area been historically overlooked then?
I think that bras have been seen as underwear, not sporting equipment. So no one's paid any attention to them. And I think bras are a bit of a black box for women, that mothers don't really understand bra design and bra fit, so they haven't taught their daughters. And so don't really know. And bra fitting, going to be fitted in a bra or shopping for a bra, women hate it. They find it a really laborious experience. I think new swimmers and new bras, like, they're just up there for women that hate, and they don't like being fitted. It's very sensitive and they're feeling awkward when bra fitters coming in and out. So the whole thing's been really unknown. And so I think that there's been a shift in, over, the 20 years I've been involved in this area, that we've really created a shift to say, look, we need to consider a bra to be a piece of sporting equipment, not a piece of underwear. And if we're trying to maximise the performance of our female athletes, we need to maximise their equipment. And therefore we need to put more science into sports bra design. And I think that's what Rebecca's talking about. We understand the breast biomechanics, and we do that across the population, but also across the age spectrum, because women's breasts don't stay static throughout their life. They're much smaller and more dense when you're younger. And then after you have, during pregnancy and postpartum, there's complete remodeling that occurs, which changes the size and the shape and the texture of the breast. And then postpartum, they change again. And then in menopause, they change again. So, and then every time you put on weight, they're going to change again. And if women have surgery, they change. And if they get breast cancer, they change. So it's not this one, homogenous group. We really need to understand breast biomechanics throughout the age spectrum and throughout the population size range. And that enables us to put science into bra design to better suit women. And part of that science is not just straight biomechanics, it's qualitative research as well, of going, what do women want? What do women like? So we ensure that they're comfortable and feel supportive, and that we are very respectful to women when we do this, because, you know, breasts are part of a woman's female sexual identity, and it's a quite a sensitive topic. So it's really important that women feel safe when we're doing this research, and that they're respected for their, you know, perhaps, you know, previous emotional trauma or cultural issues involved with their breasts. So there's, you know, I think part of the complexity is ensuring that we are respectful and sensitive and safe to the women that we're researching, and to the women that we're trying to create change with in sport. You know, so I think that adds complexity to it as well. And the biomechanics of a soft, deformable structure like the breast, wow, isn't that challenging to measure, you know, relative to something easy like a bone, you know? So I think the nature of the female breast in itself is a difficult, you know, it's challenging to measure biomechanically.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'd follow on from some of those things. I think socially there's so much difference, I think, in how women engage in sport and what they feel the barriers are to them. And I think there's other things in there as well, like other legislative and charitable movements that have helped engage women in sport. So like Title IX in the US, and 10 years ago in the UK, we had the This Girl Can campaign that obviously helped to really show the variety of women that can exercise and engaging more women in exercise, but also showing and understanding why women don't. And actually, it might not be because they don't want to, or, you know, they're just not exercising, because it's actually all of these other societal factors that mean they can't necessarily engage as easily. And how do we understand the system better to enable that better? But also when it comes to the apparel side of things and sports bra side of things, making sure that there are options that fit the variety of women and that are accessible to them, both in knowing where they can get those, knowing where they can try them on in a safe, kind of secure environment, and also knowing that, you know, that's going to work for them is really important. I think Deirdre mentioned the kind of qualitative side of the research as well. And I think even though I'm an engineer and we work on the measurement system, for us, it's really important to understand the process that women, whether they are just trying to get into exercise or they are professional athletes, go through to pick a bra. And we try and unpick that donning and doffing process a little bit more, because that's also a big barrier to sort of sports bras and exercise. Actually getting bras on and taking them off can be arduous to say the least. So the more that we can actually understand the process of not just how does this product have to function for the biomechanics and the different movements that we try and make when we're wearing them, it's also how do we just get them on, get them off, what's the life of these bras? And that's what we're trying to understand a little bit more as well. So I think there are so many different layers to that question of why it's been overlooked. I think the sports product and sports apparel industry is massive as well, right? And there are lots of different types of products within that, and sports bras are not a small slice of that, but it's really interesting to try and understand the balance between different products and what people choose to invest in a little bit more. And I think sports bras are definitely coming to the fore more, certainly in the last few years, that people are recognizing that this is not just a thing or a piece of sports underwear that I need to wear. It's actually becoming quite crucial to my performance or my engagement in a sport.
I think you both really nicely articulated there why things have been historically overlooked in this research area, and it's not as simple as we don't need or don't want the research. We absolutely want it, and we absolutely need it for women across the life course, from participation in sport right through to that kind of elite level. But it's, as you've highlighted, the complexities of doing that are clearly there to see. So yeah, thank you both for those answers. Deirdre, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about some of your work. So you've highlighted the health benefits of high support, correctly fitted sports bras, promoting sports bras as essential sporting equipment for female athletes. But could you just talk a little bit about the current state of awareness among athletes and coaches?
I think sadly, I think we've made baby steps, you know, to raise awareness, but it's still pretty low, I'd have to say. So our research has found that at an elite level, international elite level, depending on the sport, it's at least over 50% are wearing bras that don't fit correctly and don't provide sufficient support. And women don't know what they don't know. Like, they don't know how comfortable they can be in a high support bra. So I'll go away to competitions and I fit athletes in bras. I look at what they're wearing and then I think, I think you'd be better off in this. Can we try this? And they just go, wow, I can't believe how good this feels. This feels so much better. So they're in shock, at how, what compared to their old bra. And I try to say, for research purposes, to go, oh look, can you wear this during training and then get back to me and give a relative difference between your bra and this bra. And they go, I'm not putting the other one back on again. I'm not wearing that anymore. I'm only wearing this. Because once you give them better support, they just can't believe how much more comfortable it is to wear it. So in terms of coaches, I think it's still pretty much an unknown. Like, coaches are constantly looking for 1%ers for performance, and we just go, wow, this one is so simple. Why don't you all just do it? Why don't you all just adopt it? So I'm working with a lot of sporting organisations, and I'm educating anyone who will listen to say, please consider improving your sports bra design. We're in Australia, we're training physios, and in the UK, I'll be training physios as well, because when a physio's associated with a team, it's such an easy task for them to assess someone's breast support. And if any of the athletes have shoulder, neck, or upper thoracic spine problem, they should be doing it anyhow, because really it does unload all of those three areas to lift the breast up and support it. So I'm training physiotherapists. We're training in community sport where we don't have physiotherapists associated with teams. We're training sports trainers, and we're training trusted women involved in the sport, who we call BELLs, breast education leaders. And so they just have to be already integrated with the team, and then we train them to train the team. So we're doing a train the model to try and disseminate this information as widely as we can. So I think it is still pretty much not acknowledged or not understood, the benefits that, and the big sell is just putting them in something better and getting them to compare the difference. And it's 100%. It doesn't matter if they're small-breasted or if they're large-breasted. They all feel so much better. If you're doing a sport that involves running, jumping, or forceful movements of your arms, then you should be wearing a high support bra, irrespective of your breast size. So we've been trying to get it out as loud as we can, but I still think it's poorly understood.
Absolutely. And then I guess linked to that is, how can we think about kind of governing bodies and companies better integrating research into product development to kind of help spread that message a little bit as well?
Well, what we're really working at, look, there are a lot of good bras on the market. And if you're a small-breasted woman, then you can get a bra to support you. But there are a lot of poor bras on the market as well. So we're trying to teach women how to connect with the good bras, and not to buy the bad bras, not to buy the low support bras, and what to look for so you get the most for your money that you're spending on your bras. So I think that connection, I think where it's harder is when their breast volume is larger. Women with larger breasts and the women who are really not being catered for by the bra manufacturers are the women who have a small trunk and a large breast, and women who have a large trunk and a large breast. That's where the size ranges that the bra companies are making are not catering for those women. So I do, constantly banter whenever I can talk to a bra manufacturer. I'm going, you aren't catering for the population, you're catering for this, section of it. And all of these women need to be active. So we need to cater for all of them. At the moment, those women will be spending more on bras because they just don't have many options. And they need a lot of support because their breasts are heavy. And so, it's just going, that's just your body, but we can help your body to perform better if we put you in a higher level support. So it's a really easy fix. Why don't we do it?
I think that's the key thing, isn't it? Why are we not doing it? If it's easy to fix, how can we not manage that just yet? And I guess you've also got women with breasts that are different sizes, and that adds complexity in there as well. And I don't know if there are any bras in the market that account for kind of different cup sizes within the same woman, but that feels like an additional complexity that's not yet really being accounted for.
Most breasts are asymmetrical. Relax, because that's most breasts. And then as you're larger, then that differential of say 3 to 5% or, in volume is going to be a larger volume. But definitely you can pick bra designs that can accommodate that better for you, that breast asymmetry. The breast asymmetry that's really hard is when women have had lumpectomy, so they've had breast conserving surgery, and now there's quite a significant asymmetry. But again, I've been training the oncology physios in Australia how to teach those women to work around all of those, issues that they have, so that we can get them active and make them feel comfortable.
That's really fantastic to hear, Deirdre. And then Rebecca, your research includes female anthropometry. So how does this influence the design of sports equipment and apparel?
Yeah, so anthropometry is obviously really the measurement of the body, in a long old word. So it's really there as a system to try and help us document and understand a specific population or a group of people, and we sometimes use that to make wider comparisons as well. So when we talk about demographic differences with respect to certain body features or body or like limb lengths, this is really what anthropometry is, and we talk about it typically in terms of sort of lengths. We can do sort of like joint motion in there as well, and things like circumferences. So it can be a very traditional thing where we will do it with sort of specialized rulers or calipers, tape measures, but we've obviously got lots of things that can help us do that now, like 4D scanning and all sorts of high-tech bits of equipment. So we're sort of trying to develop those measurement systems that help us to take the measurement, but also to identify how do we actually take that number out. So when we're talking about breast anthropometry in this, and we're talking about size and we're talking about shape, it makes it almost sound trivial just using those words, because actually a breast doesn't have a lot of features to really help define it. Where does a breast start and end can be a really difficult question, and especially when we're now applying these more advanced techniques, it's now thinking, okay, how do we do this in a digital space, and how do we define this geometrically potentially? So there are a lot of different layers to that question, and I think the other side of this is when we're looking at the people that we're trying to measure, everyone is so different, which is fab, and that's what makes up our population distribution. But we obviously have to then try and design a range of products to accommodate the breast variants of a population as well. Like Deirdre mentioned, there is so many different women out there, and so many different bra sizes, but also not enough in some instances as well. So what is it about the physical size, the physical volume that we need to ensure that we measure, so that we can therefore translate that to apparel appropriately to make sure that a woman's got appropriate coverage to hold the breast in, but they're also not spilling out, or it's not too gappy, so it makes sure that they have got appropriate support. And it can be quite difficult to attribute some of those features to specific body parts, or knowing where to measure between here and there. So I think it really comes down to a lot of different features, and not just of the breast. So often when we're looking at how sports bras fit, if we're working with someone that is taller, so I often have this problem. If I put a bra on that doesn't have adjustable straps, the waistband won't really be sitting on my waist. It might be sitting partially on breast tissue, which is obviously not great, and it's going to be more uncomfortable as well. So it's about how the sports bra is fitting on the whole torso, not just how it fits around left and right breast. So there are a lot of different complexities in this. Not even venturing into the how do we put it on, take it off element of it all. But every breast is different from size, shape, elasticity. So the support that they need is different. then when you try and consider what sort of exercise are you trying to do, there's that additional component in there as well. And I think the other thing that we come across in sports bra design is sports bra design or sports bras are they're quite an aesthetic piece of apparel that people choose. And I think sometimes when you're trying to design support or you put that word in, it's seen as a very heavy duty word, right? And women or some women don't want to wear something that looks really intense and very covering potentially, but it's about making sure that there's appropriate understanding for what's going to give you support and who you are, to make sure that you can make those choices. And we're trying to unpick and understand the anthropometry, the measurement, to allow us to help with those recommendations and help with that design translation a little bit.
That's a really good point there, that we could design the most perfect piece of sports equipment in by way of a sports bra, but if women won't wear it because they don't like the way it looks or the way it feels, then we've got a huge limitation, right? So I guess linked to that then, what are the challenges in translating lab-based insights? So you could know how to create the most perfect bra, but translating that into commercial design and then a product that somebody will actually wear. What are those challenges as you see them, Rebecca?
I'd say it comes back to kind of perhaps an age-old science translation question of quality versus quantity. And I think in the lab-based environment, we potentially have the luxury of a lot of time with a participant, and we can get to know them really well, and we can take lots of different measurements and build our measurement systems or our protocols to really understand perhaps quite a fundamental scientific issue or problem that we're trying to investigate. Now trying to do that for a big representative slice of the population or the whole population or a global population is hard. And I think you don't have the same time with people. People don't have the same time available often to help in research either. So I think really it's an issue of scale and translation. How do we take this really high resolution measurement that we can do that understands real depth of a person, and now somehow apply that to a big distribution of people that are walking into a shop, they want to make a purchase quickly, they need to know how to do that for themselves, and it's not just what their friend is wearing or what brand they know is really popular at the moment, and make those informed choices, make that purchase and walk away. So how do we translate that scale, I suppose, is probably one of the biggest challenges, I think, from translating lab-based stuff into more kind of commercial design and high street, if you like. And I think that's something that is it's not uncommon across science and experimental sectors, but I think that's because of the complexity of what we're trying to understand, it's almost about how do we now translate this into almost a psychological cue of, if a woman sees this, she knows that it's going to be more supportive. And I think there are two directions to that. It's, there is the design, almost the mechanical component there of we know if we've got this feature on here, it will be more supportive, but also what are women perceiving as more supportive, and understanding if those two things match. So we're sort of exploring in that space at the minute, which is really interesting. But I think scale is probably the most challenging one, to make sure that everyone can learn and everyone can benefit.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. And if I could ask you a question that I imagine a lot of listeners will be thinking about, whether that's for themselves, whether they are a coach, whether a practitioner, a mum, or somebody just linked with sport, perhaps. How do they go about finding the most appropriate sports bra then? Have you got any advice on, if they're going to go into their local shop to find a new sports bra, what they should be looking for?
Well, I've actually made an app back in 2012 that's free, and it's endorsed by the Australian Institute of Sport, and it's available on www.bra.edu.au. So Bra Education Australia, but it's global. You put in your region and the sizes will come up, whatever, Europe, USA, whatever. And the reason I made it was because women, I found adolescent females, 25% would go to a bra fitter, and in women, only 1/3. So women, I could say, go and be professionally fitted, but they're not going to do it. Exactly what Rebecca's saying. If we need to bend our ways to the women, rather than thinking they're going to just do whatever we say. So the app goes through, you put in your age, your estimated bra size, whether, you know, like your 34D or whatever you think a ballpark measurement is, and it gives you pictures, photos of types of sports bras. So it doesn't tell you the brand, but it tells you the features to look for, whether it's an encapsulation bra, a crop top, or a combination hybrid bra. Right? So there's basically only 3 types of sports bra on the market. So it gives you a photograph of that type that as a guide for you, and that varies depending on your size. If you're an A cup or a B cup, the world's your oyster. We go, you can wear anything you want, right? But just say you're an E cup, then we go, you got to wear 2 bras. It's highly unlikely you're going to get away with just one because your breasts are too heavy. So, and then it goes through how to tell if it fits, and it's got photos of correct fit, incorrect, too big, too small. And then it goes through how to tell if it's supportive enough for you. And it gets you to run on the spot, and you look at 2 videos, and it says, this is acceptable movement, this is unacceptable movement. You got to look like acceptable, not unacceptable. So it's trying to guide women. It actually won an award this year, won an International Women's Day award, and it's currently being upgraded. So it has even more education in it for breastfeeding women, about breast pain. And so there's far more in it now. And you can put in now small, medium, large, extra large, if you're wearing a crop top, so you can input that. So it should be released at the end of August, the new version. So I find that is a good way to so women can take it shopping. And you may walk into a shop and see 150 bras, and by the time you go, no, it hasn't got wide straps, no, it hasn't got a wide band, no, it's not going to cover all my breasts, you're just going to rule out, and there may be 3 that tick all the boxes that you go, yes, I'll bother trying that one on. So I find that, but I think for athletes, we need team-based education. So we're really working on teaching either in community sport, trusted women involved in the sport, or at more an elite level, training physiotherapists to guide athletes, because athletes are doers. So they want to do it. So if we make it part of training and it's a practical session, and we've got a 30-minute little practical session for athletes, and that you can be a trusted woman to teach, and we get them to teach them in pairs, that we find that highly successful to try and disseminate that information. So I think check out the app and take it shopping with you. And I designed it first because I was sick of going shopping. People, I did say so many people, come shopping with me, find a bra, come shopping with me. I just go, it's exhausting. I can't keep doing this. So that's why I started making it, so I could take the app with you instead of me. So it's like you're taking me shopping.
That sounds really excellent, Deirdre. I'm looking forward to downloading it myself.
Yeah, I definitely second what Deirdre said, and going and checking out the app. And I think even just gentle guidance when you're looking around a shop, I think don't just pick a bra up and think, okay, I've had this before, I know this is my size, I'll just go get this and get another one. And I think that's actually how a lot of people shop for products like this. I think just give yourself an extra 20 minutes, pick up 2 or 3 bras, types that maybe you haven't tried before, or brands that you haven't tried before. Just go and try them on, and see how you feel in them, and see, how comfortable you feel. Do you feel they fit? Are some too gappy? And I think it's only really that comparison that is going to give people the ability to start articulating what's working for them. Because I think what's also important to perhaps re-acknowledge is what works for one person or someone in a friend group is not going to work potentially for someone else. And I think that's another kind of cue that is always important to think about. It's not just what your mates are wearing or the size that mates are wearing that you want to try and fit, or other things or styles that are more fashionable. It's what's just going to feel comfortable for you. And I think if you try on a couple of options in a shop fitting room, just doing some small movements, even just like bending or reaching or stretching, just to see actually what happens when you're moving in this. Because if you're going to try and do especially very agile sports, or actually not agile, even if you're doing things like yoga, you're going to be moving and flexing a lot, and you want to make sure that the coverage is there when you're wearing it statically. But we don't stand still when we do sport in all types of sports, so we need to make sure that whatever you buy can function when you're moving in it as well, and it's going to stay where it is, or it's going to, you're not going to keep readjusting it when you do that. So I think that would be my sort of main thing to do is go out and try a couple of things on, just so that you become more aware in yourself of what you think works for you or what you feel more comfortable. I think we've seen that when we've helped people with fittings. They'll come in wearing something that they've worn for years, or a set brand that they stick to, and actually just the space and the ability to try on different options makes people walking away going, oh my goodness, or they'll put on their original and go, oh. and it's, it's almost that self-education journey of what fit and comfort and coverage is for you that is really important that women go on.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think that women who buy their bras online and then they come and they get it and they try it on, they go, oh, it'll do. And I go, no, it won't do. Okay. Send it back. You've got to discipline yourself, and it has to fit correctly. The other bugbear I have is when you go into a bra shop and someone's fitting you and they say, oh no, we don't have your size is, say, a 34, a 32D. And they go, oh, we don't have that, but we've got the 34C and that's the same. Oh, please never ever trust them. The band has to fit. If you're a 32 band, only buy a 32 band. And if they don't have your cup size, don't buy it. Like that's such a shame. Women buy these bands that they'll go up a band size and they say it's the same size, but the band's bigger. And once that band loosens, that bra's not going to last you very long at all. So don't do that. Don't settle for something that's close to your size. Get your size. A bra is a tight fitting garment. It has to fit you on the band and fit you on the cups. And if it doesn't, then don't buy it. You deserve a well-fitting bra. It's the same as you wouldn't buy a pair of shoes. If they were too big or too small for you, they have to fit. Bra's the same. You buy a really good design and it doesn't fit you, it's not going to work. So you deserve a comfortable, supportive, well-fitting bra. So women, demand it and take it.
I think that is an excellent point to kind of lead on from and move towards our kind of final concluding statements, really. So thank you both. This has been a really informative session with some really nice, clear takeaway messages as well, particularly around sort of the systemizing that we just spoke around, and also the need to just have a jump around in the changing rooms and just check that that bra does fit when moving, not just when standing and looking in the mirror. So really key, important messages there. One final question for you both then before we finish for today. What innovations do you think are on the horizon in this space? Deirdre, if we start with you.
Wow. I think materials really improved in terms of, and seams, to have, more seamless bras, more comfortable supporting fabrics that also wick better away, that they don't stay wet. Really much nicer straps and clips that are smoother and softer. So I think that's been beautiful innovation that I've seen over, the past 20 years. I think definitely the work of people like Rebecca, that engineering space of getting the anthropometry, the truth, and bra companies absorbing that anthropology and using that to design bras in sizes that fit the population of women. And then the other thing is, I think the supporting the breast mass, because the breast mass can be very heavy. I don't think we've got bras out there that are supporting such high breast masses. And I'm still recommending, women to wear 2 bras. So that means the engineering isn't there yet, that they're able to support such heavy breast mass. So I think that's still an out there, but I'd love to see this size range increase and cater for the reality of what women are. And I think it's really exciting, Rebecca's space, to give more information to bra companies to say, get it right. On my side, it's like shouting out, hey, Can we connect women with better bras? Can we educate women about better bras? Can we get recognition that a sports bra is a piece of sporting equipment?
Thank you, Deirdre. I think that's a very nice compliment. And I think I'd also second your first point on materials. I think materials is going to be the big space of translation in the future. And I think breasts are also like one of the hottest parts of a woman's body, thermally speaking. And obviously when we're exercising, we're sweating, and sweat wicking becomes really important. And we have other chafing issues in there and things like that. So I think materials is definitely going to be a big element in the future, and materials that can work in those differing kind of dynamic environments as well, that we can explore, and ways in which they're manufactured so that they are able to handle the loads that we're talking about, the frontal body mass, because it is a mechanics question, really, if we're looking at it. But how do we make sure that the manufacture of those materials goes into products that are still lightweight, they're still easy to put on and off, they're still cost effective for people to access, and I think that's probably a big step forwards, as well as understanding more of that population variance of size and fit that we're trying to unpick as well.
Thank you both very much. This has been a really insightful discussion around the design and impact of sport-specific apparel for women. Huge thank you to Professor Deirdre McGee and Dr. Rebecca Grant for speaking today and talking through their expertise in this space. That wraps up everything for today, and thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for listening to the Experts in Sport podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, then please contact me, Martin Foster, at m.foster@loughborough.ac.uk. Thanks for listening. See you next time.